several of us at this table are involved with a number of different organizations in the community that work to address the issue of homelessness. One of the ones that I've become more involved with is C3H, which is the Community Collaboration on Homelessness in our area. And I think what we're finding, homelessness seems to be remaining static or reducing in a lot of communities locally. Unfortunately, in Santa Maria, we seem to be experiencing an increase in our homeless population around the community. And so we decided that it was time for us to try to do some type of outreach with our local businesses. We get a lot of complaints and concerns, and there seems to be a lot of miseducation and lack of understanding in our business community as to what tools they have at their disposal in order to address the issues. People tend to be fearful. They think that they don't have any real authority to ask folks to move along if they don't want them staying on their property. So that seems to be the biggest one. And while we don't always necessarily encourage, people to go out and make contact with these individuals, because sometimes, there may be some unpredictableness out there, we are trying to encourage our business owners to be proactive and take steps to protect their property and to work with the resources that we have here at the city. One of the best tools that I know that we have to deal with law enforcement is our letter of authority, so I'll let Russ talk about that.
Letter of authority is available on the city website. A business owner can fill it out, and then they send it back to the police department. We get that letter of authority, we go out and check the property and make sure that it's posted properly to conform with California Penal Code. With that information, with that letter on file, we send our officers out to check the areas, and when they see a transient camp on the property, we know that we can act on behalf of the property owners to issue the citation or make the arrest, whatever's appropriate, and get the people off the property. But it also sends a clear message that that's not the place to camp, that's not the place to accommodate people that choose to live that lifestyle.
And there are a lot of modifications you can make to your property, or tips that you can do in order to make the area less hospitable. Sensor lights, motion detector lights, those types of things are obviously very useful. Security cameras can be a very big deterrent. Also, just little things like keeping your trash enclosures locked so that people can't access them. If you have external spigots or electrical outlets, lock them or find some way to secure them so that you're not providing a place for services that would facilitate camping, those types of things. So keep your gates locked. There are a lot of things, small things like that you can do to just make sure that your property is secure.
We've changed a couple of things over the last few years. Probably the most effective tool we've used is the bicycle patrol. And we've really focused on the retail commercial areas of the community. Those are the people most impacted by the transient population. We go out 3 to 5 times a week. Patrols last anywhere from 4 to 6 hours. And during that time, we'll contact upwards of 15 to 20 individuals engaged in really criminal conduct or infringing upon the rights of others. And so as we are out there, we're issuing citations, we're working with the city attorney's office, we're working with the courts to try and discourage people from maintaining a lifestyle or a culture that's become prevalent in the transient or homeless population. So the other aspect of it is we work with community groups to do outreach, because we do run into some that are living in the transient community. That with a little bit of assistance, they can come back in to be a productive member of society.
As far as what we do, we are all over the city, but our role is a little bit different than the police department. We're primarily in the parks and all the city-owned lots. So we're at the mall, we're at the transit center, the city hall area. And a lot of the issues that we encounter as far as the homeless transient population are the homeless camps, the shopping carts. We get a lot of violations in the public restrooms. And so we deal with the criminal side of things, so citing people for the drug violations, the dangerous needles, the shopping carts, which can make quite a mess. And then we also work with some of the organizations that Christine was mentioning to give information to try and get these people into services that can assist them. I think that as far as that goes, there are resources out there, but we'd like to see more resources because, we hear all the time that the shelters are full and people aren't able to get the services that they need. Some of those people, though, don't get the services they need because of some of the decisions they're making. So we would like to see some changes that can target some of those issues. People are on drugs or alcohol. A lot of the shelters just can't take them. So if there's a way we could see those people transition into some of the rehab facilities, I think then they would be eligible for a lot of the services that they're not currently getting.
So the City Council sees this as an important issue for the quality of life of the city and for the business vitality of the community. And so the budget they adopted last week did identify funding to further address the homeless issue. And as Sergeant Stone mentions, each individual has little different circumstances, so the focus now will be on the individuals who are ready for substance abuse or ready for housing or ready for a job, and to help them be able to get that connection to filling out a job application or filling out a housing application.
Right. Because being homeless isn't a crime, but unfortunately, when people find themselves in those circumstances, there's a lot of behaviors and activities that are criminal in nature. And so as a city, we obviously have to work within the bounds of law enforcement to deal with those issues, but the city has also recently stepped into more of the compassionate realm side of trying to assist those that are struggling with these types of issues, whether it be substance abuse or homelessness, inability to fill out a job application, those types of things. Someone who's experiencing homelessness and has perhaps poor nutrition and not a place to take a shower and has difficulty with just those basic areas of living is going to have an even more difficult time trying to get to a medical facility that's on one side of town, trying to get to job services that's on another side of town, vocational training somewhere else. And so having someone that can really, a case manager that can work with that person and really ensure that their needs are being met globally as opposed to piecemeal is very important.
And less expensive. Yeah, it's another way to address the problem, but it's also a more cost-effective way. If they're always calling 911 when they have minor emergencies, it's a lot more of an expensive solution than having someone who's out there proactively addressing their issues or making sure they're getting their medication or getting to their appointments on time.
The message we also like to get out is the issue of giving money to people that you find in these circumstances. We have several meters around the city where you can donate your change, and all of those monies then go to one of our local homeless shelters. I understand that there's that sort of immediate feeling of, gosh, I just helped somebody when you give them a handout as you pull out of the Trader Joe parking lot or whatever. But we would really encourage people to, rather than doing that, make sure that you donate that to the Salvation Army, Good Samaritan Shelter, or C3H, some type of organization that's really going to be able to take those funds and actually make some changes and differences in people's lives.
And there are more meters available. If a private business wants to have a meter in their area, we can put them on private property with the permission of the landowner, and so they can contact City Hall if they'd like to have a meter in their area.
Well, and the overnight camping and the issues that go along with that, it's no fun for the property owner to come back in the morning and have to clean up the remnants of those camping endeavors. But also we have complaints from business owners that the transient population, as they loiter, they scare away customers. And we've had a couple of businesses that just have essentially given up, and they're going to pursue their commerce elsewhere because of the transient issues that exist in some parts of the city. So we try hard to work with them to address the issues, but we do have to work within the constraints of the law. And so not every action by these individuals is a criminal act, so we have to pick and choose.
I kind of see both sides of the business issues with the homelessness. On the one hand, I get people that complain to us as we're making our rounds, and they'll say, hey, we've got this camp, we've got these shopping carts, these people are scaring off our patrons. And then on the other hand, I get business people that sort of say, hey, why don't you leave them alone? They're not doing anything. And I explain what we've got a job to do, and what we're trying to accomplish is to keep everything clean and safe and welcoming for businesses and customers and everybody. We're here to treat everyone with respect, but at the same time, we're trying to accomplish keeping the city safe and open for business, and encourage people to be out and spend money. And so if we could sort of bring everybody together, on one hand, we want to be compassionate and help, but we want to make sure the money goes where it's needed and not necessarily handouts or just looking the other way on these violations.
We want to make sure that our facilities are open to everyone.